another presentation of the Issues Room. We were not here last week. We apologize. We had some very pertinent things going on that we had to deal with. And, as it is, professionally, we're professional people. We have to work. My brother Alfonso, the same. And so sometimes, we get caught up. But nevertheless, it's good to be back. Nothing changed, nothing spoiled, like the people say in Liberia. I'm Volcano Shelton. Alfonso will be joining me very shortly. But in the meantime, we say thank you. If you're there, please help us to share our podcast here tonight. We want to have a jam packed show because our topic of discussion is very important. Um, you know, the Congress for Democratic Change, um, or coalition, put it that way, had the USA convention the other day here in the city of Philadelphia, the state of Pennsylvania, where former President George Weah came to the occasion, and he declared that he's running again for the Liberian presidency in 2029. So a lot of folks find that to be very interesting, and we thought to uh, talk about it tonight as one of our discussion topics. And we also have a discussion on whether the opposition is winning the propaganda on drugs in Liberia. As you and I know, we had a drug bust. And right now, the investigation is ongoing. Names have been called. The president has uh, removed people from their jobs. And the opposition community is calling Liberia a narco state. It's just so many things happening around this drug thing. So we thought to give it, some kind of lens tonight, and whether the oppositions are winning the propaganda, and what is the role of the media in this drug crisis. What is the media doing? Is the media helping the process, or is the media hurting the process? So again, welcome to the podcast. My name is Volcano Shelton. As I said, tonight we're in the issues room holding these discussions, and we'd like for you to please, please, please help us share the link, invite others to join us here tonight. It'll be a great conversation. We'll open the lines for some of you to call in if you want to contribute, whether verbally. We have the chat room. You can post your questions or your statements or your comments, and we will do due diligence by giving audience to it. And so, look, help us share the link. Alfonso, welcome to the show, man. Listen, it's going to be a good one. We were not here for a week, but nevertheless, we're back. As I said, um, everybody got things going, and sometimes it becomes very demanding on us as professionals, family people, community people. We in organizations. We
Yep.
had, we had, we not had, but we have deaths in the community,
Yep.
and so we're just like elastic. They're just pulling us here and there, and we have to be a part of the community and what the community goes through. So we couldn't be here last Tuesday, but nevertheless, we're here tonight. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you.
for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you, my brother. To our viewers, we say welcome. Definitely share the link and invite more people to join. Once again, we promise you a very interesting conversation. And as Vakana said, we also invite you to participate in the conversation as well. These are really the topics that you discussed, Vakana, are really critical issues that are affecting our country and our community, and it's important for us to discuss them in a way that is open-minded, but also to invite members of the public and the community to join in this very important conversation of these very important issues. So I'm glad to be here. Glad to see you. As you said, we took a week off. We had deaf in the community. I know you have your Alpha Baptist convention coming up. I don't know whether your deacon is coming or not. Uh, and then, of course, number of other issues happening in the community. But I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you for referencing the Ever Baptist Church reunion. The Ever Baptist Church reunion is annually and is the second weekend in the month of August. However, this week, this year's convention, reunion, not convention, but reunion, is held almost like in the third week because if you recalled, the month ended on Friday, July 31st, and the weekend begins on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So our annual reunion is always Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And because July 31st was Friday, so we couldn't hold it next week
Yeah,
or this coming weekend because then it will be the first weekend in the month.
yeah,
So that's why um, I'll say the 14th through the 16th. Yeah, the city of Lansdowne, the outskirts of Philadelphia, Ever Baptist Church will be convening. I'm the current president of the reunion. I know everyone thought that we'll bring the deacon, the president of the Republic of Liberia, but because of the timing with the UNGA, it's difficult to go back and come. And the Pape, his stamina, we got to consider it, taking it into consideration. But we will try to do it differently next year, and at that point we can have enough time to get him here. But yes, so the reunion is being held here in the city for the first time in Philadelphia. It's the 29th reunion, started back in 1997 in Maryland. So a lot of folks coming from all over the country in the diaspora, those who coming from Liberia. We're hoping to pack the house. Alfonso, you're invited. Tickets are not expensive. It's $50 for ordinary, $75 for couple, and $100 for uh, what you call VIP, patron, whatever,
yeah, yeah.
Our guest speaker is the Reverend Dr. Henry P. Body of the closing argument, and Dr. Alex Red has agreed to serve as installation officer for the installing leadership of the reunion. So it's going to be good, So I hope you can put time on your calendar for August 15th. August 15th, okay? I want to see you, brother. I want to see you. I know you're having elections here, but the elections will be over by the time. So I hope that you can join us then. But thanks for the reminder, and it's good that we could put a little publicity. I know the reunion has to come back to the issues room for this last five minutes talk.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Or you will just do it as a love offering. The issues room could do it as a love offering.
absolutely,
Okay. All right, boy, Alfonso, man, bro, good to see you, brother. So let's start this conversation. President Weah was here. I don't know if he's still in the area, but he was here this past weekend from Wednesday to Sunday. Um, they had a series of activities that led up to their night dinner ball, their convention day for the U.S. CDC chapter, and he also played a soccer game where they won the game against the Pennsylvania Old Timers Association. I left the field when the game was in the second half, but they were up 3-0. But I think that game ended with the 3-0 win. He didn't score. His son scored one of the goals. I think it's called him Cham Weir. And there's a guy called Jebo, or some Jebo guy. They say he's one of Liberia's international strikers. He scored a goal, and I don't know the third goal was scored by who. But yeah, but that was what it was. And at that convention, or whatever the activity was, President Weah said he's coming back 2029. So what is the convincing message that he's coming back with? What is it that he can hold on to convince the Liberian people? What is he going to say to the Liberian people, considering his past 6 years and what is trending now in the last 2.5 years with the current administration?
yeah. I think I did hear that too. I specifically heard that from him. I did not attend any of the activities of the convention, by the way, but through social media, I heard clips of his statement, and particularly the one you referenced, which is that he's coming back in 2029, and that's the same question that came to my mind as well. Coming back in 2029, you served 6 years. So what's the legacy that you would be referencing? Like, what are you going back to say? We did this, we did that, and we can do it better. So what basically is the message that he's coming back with? I've heard some people say, again, I didn't attend, that he said that everything that he built during his administration is being undone, is being destroyed by the Black administration. So I think it would be a very good thing to discuss some of the things that he built, that he said he built. What did he build that is now being destroyed? What is the legacy he left behind that is going to win him um, a second term? To say the Liberian people saying, "Oh, we miss you. You did this great and wonderful thing for us, and we want you to come back and continue and do better." So far, what I've heard from a lot of we are people when it comes to development and whatever is, oh, we are initiated this project. We are programmed for this project before he left. We are got money for this project before he left. We are talked to the UN people and they were still in conversation. He initiated a conversation before they left. What that tells me is he has 6 years. I wonder why those things didn't materialize within those 6 years. Did he wait until the last 6 months or 1 year of a term before he started negotiating those things? But I also do know that, you know, even if you negotiated something and a new administration comes in and see it not as a priority, they're not obligated in any way to take it on. So we can't say, oh, like, CDC people are arguing, oh, it's we as project, it's we as project here and there. No, you cannot say it's we as project. Now you can say we are contributed towards the project if it's true that it did contribute towards the project, but it also is left with the administration in place at the time to decide whether or not that is a priority that they want to undertake. Because every administration, during the campaign period and when they come in power, they have a platform, they have an agenda of things they want to accomplish. So it's important to really discuss what Weah has accomplished that makes him think that he needs to come back in power. I think there are many people who want Weah to come back in power. Some of them are the people who think that his presence in power will benefit them. So of course you will see some of those people, jumping around and wanting him to come to power. We is a popular man. He plays soccer. He's a great soccer player. We had years of war. During the years of war, the only thing the young people knew outside of, warlords and stuff, was George Weah. So they gravitated towards George Weah, and in the election he participated and won the election. What did he give them? What did he do for them? What foundations did he leave for them? How many young people, were taken out of poverty and given jobs? I know when they talk about jobs, they talk about they put people on government payroll, no show jobs. That's not job creation. They talk about what's that thing Mr. Tue usually talks about? Harmonization. What exactly is harmonization? I asked them, and they can't talk about because if a Keanu is making $100 and he can only pay for a room for himself and his wife and kids, and only buy a bag of rice a month, and you say, well, harmonizing for Keanu's salary. So now you take $50 from Volcano and give it to Alfonso. You have put Volcano in poverty, and you've Alfonso also remains in poverty. So you have not created an economic model that takes people out of poverty. What we do, the economic model that we need to build, is not to take the small pie and break it out in smaller pieces. It's to grow the pie. It's to make it bigger. So now everybody can participate in the pie because the pie is bigger. It's not to say, okay, we have this, we're going to cut it small, 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 small pieces. You're not helping people, and that's why harmonization did. When I debate them, that's what I do because that's exactly the economic model. So I'm interested in
But
hearing
the
some of
but the
them
que-
making the
but
debate. Mm.
also with the payroll padding,
Yep. Exactly.
if you consider that ghost employees on the salary and all of those things, They didn't help the harmonization. It did not help the economy. It did not provide jobs. It provided ghost jobs where people were taking monies and putting it in their pockets. But listen to me quickly. Let me play a video here of a young man who I think is doing a greater job as compared to Geraldine McPia and the Eugene Fargon and Hassan Kiawu and the D Flo Flomo, who is media practitioner for rebranding. And I hear they have a public affairs somebody and Lena and all of that. This young man, I think Boyka should find him a job. Even Patrick Horner praised the young man. I said, but Patrick Horner, you're the one who's supposed to be doing the work of what this young man is doing. Listen to him on the We Are Comeback in 2029.
So that's something we have coming back. You country that everybody country. But the question don't make no is why you coming back? Are you coming back? You coming back where our roads is from east. Our people have no longer paying the task. Are you coming back? Are you coming back with both alligator or up with stable water? Are you coming back? Are you coming back with our brothers, our sisters? Are you coming back? Are you coming back with our stable electricity? Are you coming back? Are you coming back with all the people are not dying in the street? Are you coming back? Are you coming back with people are not dying with pushing them? Are you coming back? And the question is, are you coming back? We are still the country has said, we are still there. We are still there when people see them. But yeah, we are paid on the panel. If you are ghettos, you have to flash it. You're not here. You're not here. If you are ghettos, under the Ministry of under the Ministry of Finance, you see budgets are fighting for the employee. Okay. The employee are no longer paying transportation. Thank you. The employee are no longer using the money of transportation.
So, Alfonso,
Yep.
you heard a young man. He laid out a lot of things that make a lot of sense, as you and I heard, and our audience as well. How is We Are Coming Back when? Let me try to remove this off the screen. How is We Are Coming Back when we now have, to a degree, water in Mamba Point? How is We Are Coming Back when the roads in the southeast are pliable, when we're paying 40,000 Liberian dollars, which is about the equivalent of 200 US dollars, and now we're paying 5,000 plus to go up there. How is we are coming back when auditors are no longer dying? How is we are coming back when there was $100 million drugs and nothing was done about it? But in this government, things are being taken care of, at least to some degree. People are losing their jobs. People are being pulled in, and the government is taking this very serious. How is we are coming back?
Yeah.
This young man is asking these questions.
Yep.
Alfonso.
Yeah. And what I like about what a young man did is, as you said, he went point by point. He was very strategic and methodical. He named some of the major important things that this administration is doing, has done, is doing, that the we administration did not do, and then he comes in with the argument. So how are you coming back? How do you overcome these accomplishments that the people are now experiencing?
And mind you,
Yeah.
these accomplishments are being done within 2.5 years. These
Yes.
people still got 2029, which is a way away.
Yeah.
So imagine, um, but not only that, he's a former, he
Yeah.
disclosed it. I'm a former seditious.
Yeah. Yeah. And so one of our followers here, you can just say, "Oh, you heard we are there are other videos out there that say we are should come back." You can just what I would say to that is, it's not sufficient to produce a video to say we are should come back. What I expect you to do is to counter what this young man is saying. He said they were paying thousands of dollars, maybe $40 to go to Grand Bassa County. Now they're paying $5 less than that to go to Grand Bassa County. That's a bread and butter issue. Uh, yeah, yeah, that's a bread and butter issue. That's an economic issue. How do you counter that? He said the same thing of going to the southeast. That is a bread and butter. So it's not sufficient, my brother, for people to just produce videos say we have to come back. We have to come back. The argument, there's a debate that this young man has brought up that's existing, and this young man has elevated and accentuated, which is look, these are the things that our country and our community need. These are the things that are happening. In your 6 years, you did not do these things. How are you coming back? I believe your argument now should be, oh, we did this, that's how we're coming back, instead of claiming that this is about hatred. Because this is not about hatred. The young man, they didn't condemn anybody, they didn't insult anybody, and we are not insulting anybody here. All we're doing is doing an analysis of the prevailing argument on the ground, which is we're coming back in 2029 versus no, these people are doing better, and so we want to maintain them. That is the argument. So it's not about hatred. You are on here. We encourage you to make an argument, and we'll listen to your views, and they will be projected to the public as well. But as I said earlier, Volcano, that young man in the video, clearly laid out things that I think. Look, when Tarbra launched the how is it called? Total Involvement for Higher Heights, mat to mattress. The driving force behind the success of those policies was information and propaganda. That's how you set an agenda. Through communication, the Tarbra administration set an agenda and the people followed. They said if you make your farm, the cassava farm, your rice farm, your cocoa and coffee farm, you will get from on the ground, from the mat you're sleeping on, and you will sleep on a mattress. And here what we're doing. We have LPMC will come and buy your cocoa and coffee and bring it to market and will pay you. You don't even have to transport it. All you have to do is just make the farm. When you do this, people will follow. When you form a farmers cooperative, you can go to agriculture bank and get this. So you made a point earlier. You challenged the government's communication arm. There was the information ministry. There was LENA, Liberal News Agency. Then there was rural communication radio stations, and then there was ELBC and all of that. those, and I want to join you in challenging those institutions to say, project what's happening. Use it not just to promote the government, but use it as a way of motivating people to do the things. Now that you build the road, it's not sufficient to have the road. Now tell the people, look, now we can bring your cocoa and coffee to market because the road is now fixed. You can come from the farm, make your farm, because you now will have a pathway to come on market day and sit down to Toyota, and people will buy your cocoa and coffee. People will even drive to you and buy your pepper and bring it to market so you don't have to come. That propaganda, that two-track propaganda needs to happen. One, what's happening now, and two, what the benefits of what's happening now in terms of road construction and electricity and water will be for the people if the people take advantage of those things.
So, Alfonso, I think the problem here that I find with the fanatics of President Weah, they don't make the case, but they become accusatory, right?
Yep.
It is now coming across as though we did not find anything that other people are saying about why Weah should come back to power. Now, that's not the issue. Who should be making the case for Weah to come back to power? Not Volcano Shelton, not Alfonso Yeno. The case should be made by George Manuel Weah, and the case should be made by the track record he set. People look at your record. Why you think when you go to apply for a job, they ask you for your what? Resume. They ask you for your what? Curriculum vitae.
Yeah.
Because they're going to use that to search, to do background check, to find out what you've done comprehensively, that the people can make a decision whether they want to employ you or not. Because Liberia is so polarized with illiteracy, these people take advantage by popularity, by sentiments, but there's no production, there's no leadership credibility, there's no leadership integrity, there's no leadership accountability, there's no leadership production, there's nothing they can show for it. And it's happening right now in the Boakas government. Why you think people are calling for reshuffles? Why you think people are calling the president to hold some people accountable? And he also says it in his cabinet meetings, that if you're not doing your job, remember you wouldn't have a job. Because we build legacy on track record. Yes, we can look at Weah's legacy in soccer, Ballon d'Or, World Best, Europe Best, FIFA Best, Africa Best, Liberia Best. But can we look at Weah's record when it comes to the leadership of the last 6 years of our country? Can we really put it on the table side by side by any qualified president who has run our country? Can we take those 6 years and juxtapose it with any other leadership? Yes, we can. But how much are we going to find? How much? So when people come here, I mean, we agree that you have the right to your opinion, but don't accuse us of hating former President Weah. I do not hate Weah. Weah hates himself. Weah has not done himself what he should have done by the Liberian people to come back and say he wants to run 2029. What is the track record? The young man laid it out. What is it that he's going to bring? What is it that he's going to present to convince the learned people? Because some of us still have influence, right? Some of us can still tilt, the wheel. And the truth is, I don't have problem with the breather. I have problem with his ability to lead our country. And I have said that time and time again, long before his loss for power in 2023. And I'm repeating myself and I'm saying it again. President Weah will come back with the same crowd of ball government, the same people that are sitting on the sideline now, I can see some of them. They've turned slim. They've lost all the weights. The stomach gone down. No more money to play with. That black out the people now, they're getting a big gut. And their time will come when they will sit on the sidewalk too. And they will sit on the sideline. They will become spectator in the political economy. But the truth is, what is the brother coming back with? What is the message? What is it he gonna say? What is he gonna convince the Liberian people with? Put it on the table, measure it side by side. This is what I'm doing. I've done rather. This is what I'm going to do. And here's the evidence that these things were done, and it's going to be done. I think that's where we are supporters should be propagating his propagandist himself and his party in collection and his whatever coalition he's forming. That's the message that you should be bringing. Don't blame me, Volcano. Don't blame the young man. Don't blame Alfonso, because I have read enough to know Weah's ability to lead our country. I have seen, not just read, but seen enough to know Weah's ability to lead our country. It's left with the Liberian people.
Exactly, Volcano. And if you were to ask me, I'm a human rights activist. I'm a human rights and democracy activist. So for almost my entire life, I've advocated for some things. So if you ask me whether WIA has delivered on those issues, I would say emphatically no. For instance, WIA became president. Where how many government officials of his administration and previous officials were ever prosecuted for corruption? No. What did he say when he took over? We're not here for yo-yo. We all know that corruption is one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing that's keeping Liberia down. And you come and say you're not here for quote unquote yo yo, so therefore you let people pillage the country and go scot free. They're arguing today, oh, the first United Party government didn't do the order Ellington stole. But you took over from them, my brother and my sister. Which one of them did you prosecute and hold accountable for that? How much corruption did you prosecute? None. So of course I don't support. I disagree with him on that. That's a war crimes. 350,000 people were lost. Thousands, 400,000 girls, young girls and women were raped. Uh, what did Mr. Weah say about accountability related to that? He wasn't doing it because he wanted to protect some political people whose political power he wanted. He did nothing. What did this administration do? There is a commission that's been established that's working on war and economic crimes. They've just submitted a bill to the national legislature to form specialized corruption courts to speed up corruption prosecution. So corruption cases are not lasting 1 year, 2 years, 6 months, 4 months in the place. They'll grab you there today for corruption. In a month or in 3 weeks, your case is concluded and you are going to wherever you belong and the property is seized or whatever. If we begin to do that, that's one of the ways we fight corruption in the country. This administration is doing that. There's a bill, as I said before the legislature. There's also a bill before the legislature to reduce the statute of limitation. What is the statute of limitation? They say after 4 year or 5 year, when you steal money, after 4 year, 5 year, they don't prosecute, they can't prosecute you anymore. What do people do? They steal money and they come say in America, Canada, whatever, they wait the time out and then they go back. And then they jump in another government reducing the extending the statute of limitation, and in certain cases, even removing the statute of limitation so that people can get prosecuted anytime. It's another important milestone in our fight against corruption.
Just stay right in that lane. Let me add this to it.
Yeah,
The former chairman of the Unity Party, Amin Modad, who took his personal money to revamp the party, who had enough money to buy the car that was purchased for him to use as commerce minister. They ran with that optic. They blew it out of proportion. Here's a man who never received cash money from the LRA. He only presented to the LRA, this is the vehicle because of my, work, my kind of work, and my body and whatever. I need an SUV, and this is what I want. The monies were there. The LRA paid for the vehicle and they sent the vehicle. What did they do? They turned it into a corruption charge. How can the man be insensitive that he's going to ride $100,000 car when the economy is struggling? But mind you, the man was using his personal car from the day that he became commerce minister up to few weeks before the vehicle was turned over to him. They didn't see that. He took his personal money to revamp the commerce ministry that he met in a dilapidated state, not painted under a 6 year of weird government, under a Mawani Dix. He did all of that. They didn't see that. But they blew the alarm that, oh, this is corruption and da 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 da. But the man never got the money. The man never pocketed money. He did not even pay for the car. The car was sent to him. They made noise. And what happened? He resigned because of integrity. Could that be any of the guys who worked under WIA? How many corruption or noise was not made under the WIA, within the WIA government? People like Samuel Toure, who took our $25 million and just walk away and talk, but he threw it out there in the street as a mop-up exercise. You tell me, how many people were not sanctioned in the WIA government? How many people? That he had to be pulled here in America to the CIA because things were so bad. How many people? Show me the people on sanction now in this government that has come to power in the last 2.5 years. So what is the message that President Weah can come with? With this telling you that when you talk about corruption, Bouaga is serious about it. That is why his party chairman, who became a commerce minister within the first 8 months of the government, had to resign because of the noise and the uptick around riding the $100,000 car as perceived to be corruption. I just wanted to make that point clear. So there are many other issues that the president is handling and dealing with. But what happened in WIA government? Show me anyone that we are removed from power. When the public was crying, when the international community was crying, do this, act now, do this. And he did nothing, but just ran the country like a soccer club, left the country for 2 months to go and sit at the World Cup to see his son play soccer. Who does that? And I heard recently that the government gave him $2 million, raw cash money in his pocket, to enjoy for 2 months.
And
Is this what we want to deal with?
no, and yes,
I'm not happy. I'm not happy that Joe Bouaga is aged, and I'm not even thinking that he should think about running in 2029. I'm hoping that we can have somebody and be done with this IE and Barrow politics, because of how I look at it now. The UP and the CDC, that pure IE and Barrow. You remember the time when IE and Barrow were the only two top teams? Even when St. Joseph beat IE, nobody knew. When Oilers beat Barrow, nobody knew. When Batman beat King, nobody knew. But when IE and Barrow playing, that the only football in the whole country. It is the same condition now we find ourselves with these two parties. It is about time that we find. I will borrow from Tomalin George. I was in his company the other day, and we sat there, we're talking, and he said we need to force a third lane, just like they do in Liberia. It means that we need to find a third party as an alternative to these two parties. I'm not here preaching for President Bouaga to come back to power at his age. I don't want an aged president, and I'm seeing it right now. And he's my father. He's my deacon. He's a man that I respect. But for his age and stamina and health, I don't think that I want him in the election, or rather in the race 2029. And neither do I want to see George Weah in the doggone race. We need a new dimension to take our country somewhere else, because it's just going to be a back and forth. The poor guys now who had all the enjoyment, they can't wait under this Weah dynamics to come back. And it would be after another 6 years with Weah, then the Joe Bouaga people would be crazy to come back. We need a third lane. That's my position.
yeah, and Volcano, one of the ways you promote national development and economic growth is decentralization. You decentralize. Right now, Liberia is concentrated in the capital city, Monrovia, in a few major cities. And that is wrong. And that is the reason why you have an influx of people coming from, the rural areas, Leeward counties, and coming to Monrovia and putting a lot of strains on Monrovia that doesn't really have jobs to offer them, that doesn't have opportunities for them, etc. One of the things that this government is doing, that will hopefully take people back to rural places, is road construction. When you have roads and stuff, people then I'm able to go to some store, whatever wholesale store, and put some goods on a car and take it to Grand Bassett or to Riverside and go and sell it there and open a shop there, because now the road is pliable. The car is able to take my goods and services to that place. Somebody is able to go and actually open a store there and hire people, open a restaurant there, start making farm there, because they know they can bring their produce to market. Infrastructure is one of the key, particularly roads, electricity. Um, I don't know how far we've gone with internet, but I know people in villages who have cell phones. So roads, electricity, which this government is working on with the rural electrification process, and internet are key drivers of development and economic growth around the world. And these are the key places, key targets that are being focused. I would love the government to also focus on agriculture. But I also want to make this point. One of the elements of decentralization that Ellen Sirleaf government undertook that I think was really good was to create service centers around the country. So every major county, two or three places in the county has service centers. Those service centers provided services to people. They were one-stop shops for a lot of things. People who want to marry certificates could go there. People who want to register business could go there. People who want to register their vehicles can go there. So they didn't need to travel in a mud to Monrovia to come and register their cars, get their marriage certificates, or start a business. What did the we administration do? They defunded those services. Now, don't believe me. Believe the former ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Liberia, who toured the country and came back and said no service center was open. They were all broken down because they were not funded. You remember when you, me, and Moses were on a show, and a lady went to a hospital in Lofa County, and they said, and then she went outside and bought her medication. And they said it wouldn't treat her because she bought the medication from outside the hospital. We all were outraged. Then we found out later on that the reason the hospital was doing it was because it was not getting the funding from government. So what it was doing was, it had this pharmacy and it was encouraging people to buy the drugs from the pharmacy so they can use the money. Where the drugs come from? American government. So they can use the money to continue for the hospital to remain open and to render services. That's how, is that the legacy that President Weah is bringing back? Service centers closed, hospitals were not getting funding, accountability institutions were all underfunded. Is that a legacy that you're going to come, or is it a popularity legacy to say, hey, we did this, we play soccer, we do whatever? We're talking about our country. We're not talking about individuals. We believe that our country needs good leadership. It's not about hating or not liking CDC or we are. Our country needs good leadership, and we have a duty and we have a right to talk about needing and wanting a right leadership for our country.
Thank you. Let's watch the time. It's
Yeah.
7:44. Welcome to the Issues Room. The Issues Room is a media platform here emanating out of Liberia to discuss the pertinent issues coming out of our country. We talk here on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Alfonso Yuno and we come here. And on Thursday, I come here by myself on the Volcano Shelton Show. But listen, tonight we're discussing three pertinent topics. We've just covered one, and we'll be rolling into the next topic. The first topic, George Weah says he's running in 2029. He's coming back. But what is the message that he's bringing that would be convincing enough for the people to put him back in power? Now, Alfonso, the ongoing drug crisis in the country, is the opposition winning on the propaganda? They calling Liberia a narco state. The argument here is the government is not doing much. The government is tight-lipped. The government is involved in the drug. President Bwaka has been considered a drug cartel member. His wife, his son, uh, the government. I've seen AI pictures of Kofi Woods in handcuff. Just so many things happening and all propaganda. The police director gave the command and say you're past the drug. The foreign minister is now involved in the drug scandal that she signed a document that said the package was diplomatic package. I don't know you got diplomatic package, but so many things now that is propagating in the media, and right now with the proliferation of social media and all of the little outlets here and there, we can find all kinds of information now. Is there verity to it, or should we just consider everything to be truth or factual, or we should do our own assessment of the situation? So, what do you say? The opposition are just going big on the drug crisis in the country against the government, and we'll come to what the role of the media should play. But right now, is the opposition winning because it's getting serious?
Nobody really, no, nobody really wins. Nobody wins in a drug war that is impacting your own country. So it's unfortunate that there are people who, first of all, want to undermine, and I want to believe there are some people who want to undermine and not unite in the fight against the drugs in the country. There are many, many things that can happen to a country when drugs penetrate and infiltrate. It's difficult to get out of that country because the drug traffickers they've been in this thing for a long time. They have a strategy. They can spread resources around. They have a lot of routes to come through and to whatever. The first and only country so far in Africa that has been declared a narco state is Guinea-Bissau. And Guinea-Bissau was declared a narco state for several reasons. We discussed this, what a narco state is. We discussed it the other day. We need to come together as a people, whether opposition or government in place, and find a way to address this drug problem. The children, our young people who are standing in the streets, who are destroyed by drugs, who live in ghettos, who sleep in the streets, it's not about opposition or leadership. And that's what frustrates me, my brother, when I see people taking this fight against drugs as a partisan thing and throwing accusations around. The only thing I can think about is, the two things I can think about. Either they want to distract so the fight fails, the fight against drug fails, so they can say the government fails and now we should come to power, which is the most unpatriotic thing to do for anybody to do. Because if the government fails in this fight against drugs, guess what? The country gets affected, the citizens get affected, business people shy away from the country, and you don't get the businesses and therefore the employment opportunities, and therefore your economy doesn't get the injection that it needs to take off. So it's not a political thing to even say that the country should fail against the fight on drugs.
Alfonso, please pause. So Yugonje is saying that Bwaka government is staffed largely by people from Lofa.
Mm.
What were he said during the time of George Weah when the Southeastern Bloc led the country? But no, I just wanted to point this out. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But continue, my brother.
Yeah, I wouldn't really even want to go there because here's yeah, I don't want to get distracted. I will have the conversation on drugs and we can talk on you can just travel claims later on. But the fight against drug is very, very important, is very critical. You, Volcano, you hear every day, you follow every day. What happens in Mexico? The drug cartels come in the streets and fight street war battles with police and military. in Mexico, in Colombia. So they are very resilient and very tactical. And we all Liberians need to come together and fight this and stop these petty political, partisan political gimmicks that are undermining the process. When you do so, you're feeding into the you're supporting, even if you don't know, indirectly supporting the drug cartel. When you also come up and make allegations for which you don't have evidence, and you say, "Oh, they did this," or the wrong people that they are convicted. Mind you, these are criminal cases. They will go to court tomorrow. The jury that will sit in trial is out there already in the public and is being fed with this information. That is Barker's son, is this person, is Barker himself, if his wife, is foreign minister. When you do that and then people go to court, then the jury goes there and the jury kind of believes that, oh, this is not the real people. It's just the big shots that are out there. The jury will let those people go. And when they let them go, you know what happens? Just as we let the $100 million drug people go, and they got their $250,000 and left the country, we're undermining the prosecution. We're undermining investigation when we make these kind of incendiary statements to which we don't have any evidence and facts and think we're playing politics. We're destroying our country.
Well, let's pause there quick.
Yeah.
The fact that they let the people go on $100 million drug,
Yeah.
that emboldened the attitude of the cartel to say, oh, wait a minute, we can take a chance. Look at the number of pallets that were taken out of that compound. That ain't no small drugs. That's a lifetime worth of drug for I don't know how many people. You understand me? That is where, because you allow in the we are government to let those people walk scot free, the cartel felt emboldened to say, you know what? This is another porous border country. We can just come in and we can do what we got to do. We can transit through here and get it to where the final destination. And that's what's enabling the environment.
Yep.
Because had it taken necessary actions to settle the dust and curb that behavior right there, and then give those people years. And one of the things I thought we have failed on, and let me say here tonight, I have pondered it, and could be in this lane, those two diplomats who went to Korea and was jailed. We didn't represent them well. The diplomatic relationship with Liberia and Korea did not influence anything. We don't know the case of those two guys who were charged on rape charges, when in fact the case, some optics is that it was consensual. These girls were in the hotel. What are minors doing in a hotel, right? To be called girls or whatever.
Mhm.
But I say this to mean that America has swapped prisoners, right? You've seen that happen. These guys, I heard one of them was a Korean. That was a perfect opportunity for the government to find a way to swap prisoners under the we are government. And they sat there and allowed these two Liberian diplomats who were representing the Liberian government in Korea to remain in Korea in a jail where they might rot for I don't know how many years. I just thought about that and I kept thinking about it because we don't hear anything about those guys. We cannot leave them to linger, I think the foreign ministry need to come back to the drawing board and re-engage the Korean government and go through the case in a way that they are truly represented by legal counsel, so we can go through, the right procedure. Because the we are government didn't care, they didn't do anything about it. Those two guys remain in prison, and we had an opportunity to swap prisoners. Instead, we allow those drug boys to walk away scot free.
Yeah. Yeah. I did not follow that case. Unfortunately, I don't know much about it. But you make an important point, which is that um And part of that is happening right now on the fight against. Now, is this current fight against drugs perfect? Is it going without hurdles? I doubt it. But here's what I would encourage people to do. That my one of the reasons I like the statement that the Justice Minister issued about 2 or 3 weeks ago is, look, we have opened. He said we've opened tip lines. If you have any information on somebody who's involved, or if you just see somebody's lifestyle changing, overnight in your community or whatever, and you suspect something going on, just pick up the phone and call one of these tip lines. I want to encourage people who are making allegations here um, around to actually call the tip line if they're interested, if they're really interested in getting the security to investigate and to grab these people who are involved in the drug trafficking and to prosecute them and to stop the drug trade. It's not sufficient to make these wild allegations on platforms or whatever, if and not provide the authorities with the information that is needed to go after those people if you believe that the information you have is true. I also hear people saying, oh, we don't trust the justice system in the country, so the people should be taken out of the country to be tried. That's the most idiotic comment I've ever heard. The most stupid and insulting comment I've ever heard. I'm sorry. What opposition politicians and critics of the government and everybody should be saying is, let's strengthen our institutions, put money into it. Let's get drug sniffing dogs at our airports and ports of entry. Let's send our people to training. Let's get scanners to scan things and stuff like that. Let's improve our intelligence within country and also collaboration with international people. Not let take our drug cases and our corruption cases out of the country because we don't trust the government and this, that, and you want to be a government leader tomorrow? Is that what you would do if you were interested with power? Or is just being really childish in this undertaking? So I will conclude by saying, look, we need our hands on deck. If people have any information on anybody, for Cano, Alfonso, anybody, call the right authorities and report it so they can come and investigate us. You don't even have to say your name. They say they have anonymous lines as well, so you can report anonymously as well. I think we need all hands on deck to fight this menace, which is drugs, drug use, and drug trafficking in our country.
Thank you, Alfonso. Let's go to our last topic. So, at this point, do you think the role of the media in this drug crisis is helping or is hurting? And unfortunately, the media, as we put it, is so spread from social media journalism, citizen journalism, waterside journalism, Soniwen journalism, mainstream media journalism, uh just too many journalists handling this thing, and
Yeah.
so is it hurting the process or is it helping the process?
I
I
think,
think
and you're right. I don't want to lump all media together because we have different media. We got, as you said, cell phone journalists who can.
We even got red light journalism,
Yeah,
red light. What else that? I
yeah,
mean, Douala market journalism.
yeah.
I mean, all kinds of journalism now. So, is it helping or is it hurting this drug burst and the investigation
Mhm.
and the crisis around it, or is it really hurting it?
I think some of it is hurting.
To a degree,
Mm.
this is what the opposition will thrive on. This is the menu that they
Right.
will utilize to propagate their agenda.
Yeah. So I disagreed with Mr. Azana Cummings the other time when he said we need independent international investigation. I don't know what independent of government. So you bring people from international where? From China or Czechoslovakia and say you come do our drug investigation. I think we should advocate for our institutions to be strengthened rather than calling for international people to come and carry our load. Our media has a role to play, and I don't want to fault our I don't want to fault our citizen journalists. I think citizen journalists do a good job. The place the mainstream media cannot go, the cell phone citizen journalists go there and pick up some critical things and report on them. That's really important. Part of the problem here is speculative journalism, gossip journalism, I would say. Somebody call me. Somebody call me. I just got it. Somebody just called me and said Volcano is involved in a drug deal, and he was over there yesterday. You're not helping the process. You're undermining the process when you do that. And unfortunately, it's not the citizen journalists. It's not mainly the
But that's a good point you made.
yeah,
How about me who just went on the football field to go
yeah,
practice and Nemo were playing the game, they were short. They say my people were looking for play. I said, my man, I'll practice with y'all. I'm gonna play with Nemo. They both say I in Nemo. That's the same thing. Some
yeah,
people they don't even know the person involved with drugs and they take picture with them and they got no idea.
yeah,
So
exactly.
now they call me Nimbo Man because I went on one time, one occasion, and play with those guys on the field, just
And you make
as a community thing.
exactly, exactly, and you make a very important point. A very big journalist in Liberia who writes one of the greatest quote unquote newspapers in the country said we see the vice president in a photo with this person. The vice president must come and explain himself. My journalism education kicked in, and I started asking questions. But you are a journalist. You run a media institution. What have you done? As journalists, we're supposed to investigate and find the truth and the facts. What if the vice president came up and said, "Oh, yeah, I just took picture in Sony Wayne," when in fact they were actually peddling somewhere else and he was receiving drug, whatever. That is why the journalist must be the one doing the investigation, not speculating out there. The man, oh, the man draws so the vice president must be drawn now. He might kind of exonerate himself. No,
And let me add to that. Let me add to that picture you just painted.
yeah.
On Sunday after the game, if you seen the video trending, President Weah sat under the tent, and the people had lined
Mhm.
to come and take pictures with him.
Yep.
So for every person he took picture with, did he know them? No. Does he know the character of those people? No.
No.
Does he know what they're involved with? No. But who the ruling government could take a picture of a drug man and say, "Oh, we are not a man," and put it out there.
Mhm.
So taking picture with people as a star power, it doesn't mean you have any connection or know that person from Adam Stray Cat. I
Mhm.
just thought to lay that
No.
because President Weah was on the field taking picture with people.
It's an important point, and I was coming to that point. So, as journalists, we need to know where the picture was taken, what the occasion was, whether it was as you described, vice president and then a group of people were coming to him to take pictures, as was the situation with Mr. Weir, whether it was at the vice president's birthday in his house or at some business function, and who all were in the picture, who were attended, ask them questions. As journalists, that's what we're supposed to do. We call it investigative journalism. So then we come up with the facts, not speculate and throw things out there, because that's dangerous and that doesn't help our profession. It undermines our profession when some of our people do that. To go back to our question, is the media helping? I think some of the media is helping. I think they can do more. You muted.
Let's talk about the government media in particular because they're the ones now who should be propagating the real agenda to save the face of the government because the opposition is running. They're running. They're scoring big from the optics.
It's unfortunate that we have an opposition if they think they're scoring big by undermining the fight against drug. That's really unfortunate and a bit unpatriotic. Should the government media do more? Absolutely, they can do more. Should the government investigative arm be a little more transparent? Absolutely, they can do that. I think they're doing a lot of good things from what I hear talking to people inside and outside. but the public doesn't even know the half of what they're doing. For instance, we know, at least I've heard, that they have USDA officers embedded with them doing the investigation in Liberia, as happened in 2008, by the way, when a group of traffickers were also brought to the U.S. and prosecuted. I also heard that the Dutch government, it's also assisting in the process. The Rwandan government is also assisting in the process. I think, yes, you're correct. The government media and the government in general, including the Ministry of Information, the Ministry of Justice, the LDA, the police, can do a better job at communicating with the public on what's going on without divulging critical investigative information, which should not be divulged. So a lot can be done, a lot should be done. Um, yeah, and I think we all need to join this fight. Look, West Africa, because the U.S. and Europe have tightened the screws on drugs coming through Latin America, the Latin America drug cartels have decided since the early 2000s to use West Africa because of
That's
its
what they call rerouting the detour. They're using a detour.
absolutely the reroute, the detour, because you know when goose coming from Liberia and they say, oh, that the waterside market, Alfonso waterside market goose here, that cola and dry bone and fish, the American people are not looking for drugs coming from Liberia because they know Liberia is not a drug traffic, be huge drug trafficking place. So the drug traffickers bring it through there, and they say that Lapa or the cola and the stuff, and they go, okay, yeah, you want the waterside market, let it go. So that's one of the reasons they're using it. Now we all have to join this fight and stop this. You know, I would say I'll save that word. This partisan politics about drugs because drugs affect everybody.
Thank you, Alfonso. Thank you so much. At least Yukon J, I believe you says that Mr. Shelton, I agree with you on one thing. UP and CCC have to go. I don't think these two parties have anything meaningful to offer Liberia. So then what are you fighting for CDC for? Yukon J, so why are you here fighting me? I'm telling you that the two parties cannot take us anywhere. Imagine 12 years of our time under the Ellen government. We didn't go anywhere. And she turned around and gave it to CDC. That's 18 years. 18 years of Yukon J, and my life was taken away from us. And now we got to deal with 6 years again. That's 24 years of our lives taken away from us. So it is time that we look to another party. This is not an IE and Barrow politics. I'm tired with this damn CDC, and I'm tired with this damn Unity Party. We need something as an alternative to shape our country and change the political narrative, because it's a back and forth. It's like, you know, the swing. It's not a swing, but the one that you go up and come down. You sit on one end.
It's up and down.
Caesar up and down. I carry you up, you bring me down. I can't, because that's what we're doing, and we're hurting this country, this beautiful country. Look, I sat down the other day and I was thinking to myself. I said, there are two countries on the face of the earth where you can go with nothing and become something. It is Liberia and it's America. Even in our degradation, even in our poorness as a country, as being perceived, because I know Liberia is rich. I know there's a lot of money in Liberia, but it's in the pockets of those in power. Why you think foreigners are thronging into the country? Why you think Nigerians are coming and doing good? Why you think the Chinese, the Asians, the Lebanese, the Indians can leave Liberia? Why? Why you think other countries have discovered Liberia and are coming? Other citizens, the Burkinabes are now amounting to 200,000 in our country. Why do you think that? It's only Liberia. It's only Liberia that you in Africa can go to and become somebody. Nobody asks you your name. Nobody questions you. The same for America. How people come here and they develop and they make an opportunity out of life and they do good for themselves. Go to Europe. Go to Asia. Go to China. The nonsense they're doing, can you do it there? Can you go anywhere else and do those nonsense? No. But then I sit there and I say, are we just going to be going up and down, seesaw up and down with Unity Party and CDC while we see other people getting rich? People who could not afford a pair of shoes are becoming millionaires overnight at the expense of our economy, of our citizens. No amenities, nothing put in place for the struggling masses, and yet we glorify a George Weah and we glorify a Joe Boycott when we should be looking for a clear alternative to change our destiny. Should we really trust these two parties to shape the destiny of our country? It's going to be 24 years. My life is robbed. My future is robbed. How about the young people who were born 30 years ago and now adults and just gallivanting all over the place, who have no hope, who have turned to drugs? Is this the political dispensation we want? These two political party, IE and Barrow politics, if you understand what I mean when I speak of IE and Barrow, the two top teams in the country, even when the other team were beating them, nobody knew about it. But when they play each other, then the whole country on fire, because that's what's happening with the CDC and the UP. We need to get rid of these two parties. We need to find an alternative and shape our country and put it on the right path. Because I tell you, CDC come to power, it will be the same damn thing. Unity Party remain in power, it will be the same damn thing. I can say that for a fact. And that's my closing, and I'm done. You can close, and we can get out of here, Alfonso.
Thank you, Volcano. On that piece, real quickly. Um, I'm not going to dwell on labels. I think we should. What the Liberian people should focus on is the platforms that the parties are presenting, and also, as you said correctly earlier, when you say you go to apply for a job, they ask for your CV, they ask for your resume. So their track record, the track record of our political parties and the leaders who are vying for political office, and less on the nomenclature of the name. It's CDC, so I'll go for it no matter what. It's Unity Party, so I'll go for it no matter what. I think we should build a political system and a political structure that focuses on what the people will do to to elevate the country, to promote our economy, to promote development in the country. And when we begin to focus on those things, instead of politicians coming and giving food to people and dividing rice or zinc to people or whatever, I think that's when we will get real good governments in our country. Now, to close, I will repeat what I said earlier, which is that we need all hands on deck in the fight against drugs. Our media brothers and sisters need to do a better job and help with investigations. It's entirely very possible for journalists to do investigative work. I was reading a story the last time where BBC did an investigation of a guy, I don't remember the country, was convicted of drug trafficking. He ran from that country. He now lives in Sierra Leone. He went to Sierra Leone. According to BBC, he's married to Mata Bio's daughter and is living openly
Guys from the Netherlands. He's
from
from
the Netherlands. Exactly.
yes.
It was a journalistic investigation that exposed that. Our journalists, let's focus on doing those things, not just coming on these platforms and making wild allegations and charges. Let's investigate. Let's go and ask people and get documentation and do this. That's extremely critical. I think if our media can play that role, we will succeed not only in the fight against drugs, but the fight against corruption and the fight against other vices in our society. And we'll also promote justice and economic development in our country. So I want to thank our listeners. Yukon J, I like your participation. It was really active. We don't agree on everything, but that's the essence of this media. We encourage you to come back, share the link. And Volcano, it was nice being with you tonight. Have a very good night, and have a very good night to our listeners as well.
I know you always got to run, so I'll let you go while I close up and recognize some of the folks in the room. But
Okay.
good to see you, Alfonso. We'll be back here next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be here on Thursday with the Volcano Shelton show. Until then, we'll catch up, brother. Good night.
Yeah.
All right, so let me quickly, before I go, let me just quickly recognize some of the folks here tonight who showed up here in the issues room. I'd like to recognize Raymond Clark. Raymond Clark is currently in California, and he said that he's watching from California tonight. So good to see you, Raymond. As usual, I see Brother Ahmad Freeman, of course, one of our avid viewers. It's good to have you here, and it was a good conversation. I appreciate your viewership here with us this evening. Let me quickly go down the lane. Harvey Sugar Odell. Hey man, good to see you again. Great um, viewer who always comes here watching from Monrovia. Frank Wu Kennedy Jr. from Boston, Massachusetts. The ambassador Frank Kennedy, good to see you tonight. Welcome to the show. Come again on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, And Rivers S. Pro, my good brother, it's always good to see you. I know you're still kind of fence sitting. You're not sure where to go, but we'll find a place for you. Alfred Tamba, good to see you. Samuel Gokai Hollywood, Yukon J. Abliyu, thanks for coming and sharing your perspective. We respect your opinion and your view. We look forward to seeing you again. I'd like to also say thank you to Sanja Manja. It was good seeing you here tonight. Lucy Miller, thank you for joining us here on the show tonight. Great conversation here. Of course, my good friend and brother, Manen Sumo. What a way you were uh, here tonight. Man, you say you had a loss. We're not sure because I didn't see anything on it, but I will try to reach out to you and extend my whether sympathy. I'd like to say Sibo Mapayam. Thank you for joining us here tonight, my good friend and brother out there. Precious Ernestine Jones, watching the show tonight. It was good having you here. Sis Pressure, Percy Emerson. That's my man, Dr. P. Thank you for joining the show here tonight. Uh, Arthur Brown, of course. It's good having you, my brother. Charles Ted Jr., George Tarr, um, Enoch K. Na, Thomas Awaji, of course, the extraordinaire. Hadi M. Gray, Cyrus Joel McGee, thank you. Thank you for showing up here. Ezekiel Brown, thank you for showing up here. Thomas Dawser, thank you for showing up here. Kit Elroy, Favor Twet, thank you. Mike McCauley, my brother, welcome to the show. Come again. Samuel Gokai, Hollywood, Renee Ruby, thank you. Marie Faya, thank you for showing up here tonight. We appreciate your viewership. Come again. As I said, Lucy Miller, James Etta Wee, Reggie Miller, thank you for joining us here tonight. It was good having all of you folks here. Alexander Boniface, Emmanuel Hayes, L.I.B. Gayu. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Henrietta Clark. Thank you. Hawa Fambule. Thank you for coming here tonight. James Banse Jawolo. Thank you. Nasatu Sila. Thank you for coming. All of you who showed up here tonight, it was a pleasure having you. I'm Volcano Shelton here in the Issues Room. We'll be back here again, as I said, Thursday, or rather Tuesday next week. But Thursday, I'll be here with the Volcano Shelton Show. Until then, have a good, pleasant night on your end, an evening on our end, a daylight on your end, an afternoon on your end, a morning on your end, wherever your end is. Thank you so much for being here with us. Have a good night.